Hello, my name's Nisha and I'm the YogicAmnesiac. I made a routine today and it's a really simple routine. It should be accessible to most people, most skill levels even. So if you're, a beginner or early on in your yoga practice, then this might be a good one for you to try out. Or if you're super advanced, you might be able to still have fun with this routine. It's pretty short. It should only be about 30 minutes long, maybe a little bit shorter. But I really enjoyed doing this practice. I've done this one before with some people and I really liked this practice, so I've kind of made an abbreviated version so it's more YouTube friendly. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I know I really did. So we'll start on the ground on our mat in a seated position. I personally am a really big fan of Sukhasana, which is this version of a cross-legged pose where you kind of have your feet sort of flat on the ground. But if you're more comfortable in a traditional cross-legged, you can go there. You can also kneel if you would like. You might need to switch it up halfway through or whatever. That's all fine. I just like this, so I'm going to start here. You can also always place a blanket underneath your butt on your sits bones, the two pointy bones in your bottom, and that can sometimes help you sit up a little bit straighter. So we're going to get nice and comfortable. Feel free to close your eyes here. This is just the beginning of our practice, so take some time to just relax, maybe think about what you would like out of this practice today. If you're maybe feeling a crick in your back or something, just take a moment to think about yourself and what you would like out of this right now. Maybe roll your shoulders back to sit up nice and tall. Keep your palms rested on your knees or maybe the backs of your hands. You can also have your hands in your lap. Like I said, we're just taking this moment for ourselves to think about what we'd like here. If you're familiar with setting intentions in your yoga practice, absolutely do that. Set an intention for yourself. Think about what you would like. And also take a few moments just to focus on your breath. If you notice yourself starting to round your spine and slouch forward, maybe roll your shoulders back, sit up nice and tall. And when you're feeling nice and comfortable, you can, if you would like, slowly open your eyes. And we'll release the feet. If you're kneeling on your knees, you're going to have to swing your feet in front of you here. And we'll place the soles of the feet together in front of us. For some people, your feet might be, a foot, 6 inches out in front of you. For some of us, they'll be a little bit closer to our pelvic bone. Your knees might be up in the air, that's fine. And we'll sit here again, sit nice and tall, keep that back nice and straight. And then if it's available to you, maybe lean forward a little bit, keep that back straight, keep your gaze kind of forward, not looking straight down, but not throwing the head back and looking straight forward either. And then if you can, maybe you place your hands on the ground and walk forward a little. You can place your elbows on the ground. Or if you're super flexible and you'd like, you can place one palm on top of the other and rest your forehead on your hands. Right now, I'm just looking for a nice loose stretch, nothing too extreme. We're just trying to get a little loosened up, warmed up for our practice. So if you want to put your head on the floor, absolutely, but there's no reason you need to feel like you should be really stretching your body. Okay, and then push into the palms and walk back up, unless you're already up. Okay, so we'll bring the knees together here, and I'm going to turn sideways on my mat. You can too if you'd like, but there's not really a need to. We'll straighten the legs out in front of us, keeping our feet flexed. And this, if you have tight hamstrings, like I have pretty tight hamstrings, you might notice that this is a little bit of a struggle for you. It takes a little core strength, some back flexibility and strength. Roll the shoulders back, sit up nice and tall. If you're really struggling sitting up straight, you can sit on a blanket or push your fingertips into the ground to kind of help you lengthen your back a little. Just be mindful you're not pushing your shoulders up. Okay, so from here we're going to lift the hands out straight, palms facing about shoulder height. We're going to interlace the fingers. Remember which thumb is on top here. Turn the palms to face out and raise the arms up and overhead and come into Dandasana or stick pose. And this pose can be very challenging for some people. So try to sit up nice and tall. If you're having trouble with your shoulders, you can bend your elbows a little bit. Make sure your feet are still flexed. And we'll release the hands down. Maybe take a moment here. Shake out the legs a little bit. Relax around the spine a little bit. And then we'll sit up nice and tall again. Bring the hands out in front of us again. Palms facing about shoulder height. We'll interlace the fingers, but this time doing the opposite clasp with the opposite thumb on top. Some people think this feels super weird. Turn the palms to face out and bring them up and overhead to do the same pose. Again, feet flexed, sitting up nice and tall. And we release the fingers down. All right, I'm going to turn again on my mat and face forward, and we're going to put our legs into a wide V. And all of these poses right now you can be doing with something under your butt to raise it up a little, help, tilt your pelvis so that you can sit nice and tall. And here we're going to do a little bit of a stretch again, keeping the feet flexed. You can slowly lean forward a little bit, or if you're feeling really tight today, just sitting up straight can sometimes give you a pretty good stretch. But if you can, lean forward. And if you can rest your forehead on the floor, absolutely go there. And as you maybe relax into this stretch, you'll find you can walk your hands out farther. Just be mindful that your butt is staying firmly planted on the ground and your feet are still flexed. Relax your back and neck down. Maybe move your head around, move your back around, get a little movement, be a little loose. Okay, and then push on up. And we're going to do the same thing over each leg. So we'll turn our chest and our body to face our right leg, and we'll slowly bend forward, relax forward. You'll find sometimes you'll feel the stretch mostly in the back of your right leg here. You might even feel a stretch in your left leg. I feel a bit of one in the front of my left leg right now. Remember, keeping the feet flexed. And we'll roll on up, push on up in your hands. We'll turn to face the left leg, chest faces the left leg, and we'll fold forward again. This is the same thing like the right leg. You might be feeling a stretch in your right leg, and you might be discovering that one side of your body is way tighter than the other side. That's totally normal. That's why we stretch on both sides. All right, and we'll roll on up, push into your hands, come on up. We'll bring the legs together. I always use my hands. It makes it a little bit easier for me. Swing the legs back, and we'll come onto all fours. And we'll do a few cat lifts and cat tucks or cat cows, depending on who you speak to. So we have our palms firmly planted into the ground. Toes are not tucked, toes are released, tops of the feet on the ground. And we'll tilt our pelvis round our back. And then we'll scoop the pelvis, tilt it back, arch the back, and look up. You You can do this with your breath too, but right now I'm just kind of doing a pretty basic practice. If you know how to do it with your breath, absolutely do that. But I also encourage you to, kind of hang out in each one a little while and move around. And push up. Okay, and after the last time you round your back, come into a nice flat neutral back. We're going to come into downward facing dog here, so if you need to walk your hands forward a little bit, keeping them about under your shoulders, shoulder width apart. We'll tuck the toes, and we'll lift those knees and send our booty on up high. You can paddle out the legs here. Push your chest forward a little maybe if that feels good. And now, if you can, maybe you need to set your knee down, but if it's available to you, raise your right foot off the ground and bring it all the way up to meet your right hand. If you need to set your left knee down or you need to scoot around to get into this low lunge position, do that, don't worry about it. And we're just going to open up the front of the left hip here. Just get a nice little stretch, maybe lean into it a little bit. In poses like these, we're mindful that the right knee is not coming past the right ankle. So if you see yourself doing this kind of thing, scoot those right toes forward a little bit. Or maybe come out of it a little bit, push back. And now we'll walk back and we'll just stretch out the back of our right leg a little bit. If you have a block or books, you can set your hand on those and that'll help support you and maybe keep you up a little bit straighter, keep your back straight. Okay, and we'll walk our hands forward. Tuck the left toes and lift the left knee. If you can, we're going to come back into downward facing dog. So if you need to come through cat on all fours, that's fine. But if you can, send the right foot back to the left foot. Check in, make sure they're about hip width apart, and then send those sits bones on up. Alright, same thing on the other side. Bring the left foot up, and for our friends who struggle with this, I'm going to set, the cat came by. I'll set my right knee down, bring my left foot up. If you need to do that, that's totally fine. Release the right toes, and we'll open up the right hip this time. Again, mindful check, make sure this left knee is not coming past the left ankle. If it is, scoot those left toes forward or push back a little to bring your left knee back. And now we'll walk the hands back, come back onto our left heel and stretch out the back of our left leg. Again, you can be on a block, books, a chair, the wall, anything really. Make sure you're flexing your forward foot in this pose. I meant to say that before. Okay, walk forward. And for our friends who struggle with this, I'll do this with you. You can take your left leg back to come to all fours, then tuck your toes and send your booty on up. Or if it's available to you, just sweep that leg back. Alright, so from here, I'm going to step my feet forward individually. You can also hop your feet forward, or you can walk your feet, walk your hands, whatever is comfortable for you. And we'll come into a soft forward fold. Keep those knees bent, relax here a little bit. We'll straighten those legs and come into a little flat back position. Release forward, bend the knees. And on an inhale, we'll bend the knees even deeper and slowly start to roll on up. Okay, awesome. I'm going to turn to face the long edge of my mat here. I'm going to fix my hair. Fix the clothing, take a minute, shake it all out. Alright, so from here, I'm going to step my feet out nice and wide. Some people like to put their arms out and make sure their ankles are below their wrists. I have a really hard time gauging that. So I usually get into the pose and then adjust from there. So from here, with your feet nice and wide, I guess I'd say mine are about maybe 4 feet-ish. I'll turn my right toes to face the short edge of my mat. Your left toes should be facing somewhere along the long edge of your mat. Some people are very strict about it being 45 degrees, but if you have knee issues or something like that, just be mindful and don't push it. Okay, so with your hips, chest all facing the long edge of the mat, we're going to bend this right knee. Again, mindful the right knee is not going past the right ankle, so if you want to here, you can scoot that right toe, those right toes forward. Send those arms out nice and long, look past your right fingertips, and come into Warrior Two. Part of the reason I don't like doing the ankles under the wrist thing is I always walk my feet farther apart, so not very helpful. But if it works for you, absolutely do it. This is a pose like I was saying earlier. Right knee, right ankle. Keep checking in with those. If you wiggle your toes, make sure they're not clenching in on the mat. And then from here, we're going to bend our right elbow. You can look forward now. Lean to the right. Flip our left palm over and bring it up and overhead and come into an extended side angle. This is another one of those poses where you want to kind of keep thinking about pulling that left hip back, but some people can't get their hips completely flat in poses like this. That's totally fine. You should really be getting a nice stretch. Almost think that you're getting a stretch all the way from that outside of the left foot, up your leg, up your side, and up through that left hand. All right, and we'll inhale, come on up through Warrior Two. Straighten that right leg, release the arms, bring the toes forward, and you can even walk your feet together and shake it all out for a sec. Or shake the whole house. Okay, so we're back in a wide-legged stance. You may need to adjust yourself once you're in the pose. Don't worry about that. If you want to do your wrist check, go for it. Wrist, ankles below your wrist. So this time we're turning the left toes to the short edge of our mat. Right toes towards the long edge, 45 degree if you feel like it. And we'll do the same thing. We'll bend the left knee and send the arms out straight out of the shoulders. Keep the chest and the pelvis facing the long edge of your mat to the best of your abilities. Check this left knee and left ankle. Left knee is not going way past that left ankle. And we're in Warrior Two. You can look past your left fingertips. I had a yoga instructor who would say, look to the future. If that works for you, then look to the future. All right, from here we'll bend the left elbow, turn the right palm up, lean over to the left, bring the right arm up and overhead, leaning on that left thigh. An extended side angle again. Same thing here. Wiggle your toes in this pose too. Check your knees and ankles. And feel that nice long stretch up the right side of your body. Sometimes it's kind of fun to like pulse in these poses. Might feel kind of good for you. And we'll come on up through Warrior Two. Straighten that leg, drop those arms, bring those feet together, shake it on out. All right, I'm going to turn again to face the short edge of my mat. If you'd like to walk to the front of your mat, a lot of people like to do a lot of standing poses up there. I'm just hanging out in the middle, no particular reason. All right, so from here we're going to sweep the hands up, bring them out and swan dive down. I have my knees nice and bent. Come into a soft forward fold. Come up into a nice flat back. Straight legs, flat back. Relax forward, soft forward fold. Place the hands on the ground, send the feet back, and come into downward facing dog. All right, we'll release the knees down. Push our hands back. Come into a seated position. And we're gonna do 2 twists before we end this video, and one's gonna be seated. So we'll bring our right foot, bring it to the outside of our left hip here. Bring our left foot on the top of our right thigh. It's kind of like a weird cross-legged pose. We're gonna do a seated twist. So I always like to wrap my right arm around my leg. Some people like to bring the outside of their arm to the top of their thigh. If that's available to you, absolutely do that. I find it really uncomfortable. So sitting up nice and tall, with my arm wrapped around, we're going to pull the right shoulder towards the left knee and send the left shoulder back. Then we'll turn our head gently and come into a nice deep twist. I would say as you inhale, sit nice and tall, and as you exhale, maybe you'll be able to go a little bit deeper into your twist. And as we exhale, we release by bringing first the head forward, shoulders, whole torso, and then we unravel our legs. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So bring the left foot to the outside of the right hip, the right foot to the top of the left thigh. Wrap your left arm around or hook it on the thigh, however you'd like. Sit up nice and tall and pull that left shoulder over towards the right knee. And then turn your head to look back. As you inhale, sit up a little taller. Exhale, maybe you can turn a little bit deeper. All right, and we'll release here. Untwist our legs. Come onto our backs. And we're going to keep our knees bent for just a few seconds. And so here we're going to lift our right foot off the ground and bring the right knee into our chest. Hug it in. You can hold onto the top of your shin or the back of your thigh. If you have something you can use as a strap, you can put it on top there and help hold your leg in. That's sometimes good for people who either have a little less flexibility, or sometimes people who tend to be a little bit curvier might not find it as comfortable. We'll send that left leg out straight. And we're going to keep both our feet flexed here, unless you feel like rotating that right foot around a couple times. The other way. Maybe flex it and then point it. And then if you'd like to come into a twist in this pose, bring this right leg over the left leg, and you'll drop that right knee on the left side, on the ground to the left of your body. And you can let your right arm come straight out and look to the right. I like to keep my left arm on top of, or like my left hand on top of my right thigh, just to give it a little bit extra weight to help relax into this pose. Our feet are both still flexed here, just a little extra protection for our knees. And as we inhale, using a little bit of core strength, we'll come on up back into our wind relieving pose. We'll bend the left leg, set the right foot down. Same thing on the other side. Got to bring the left foot up into our chest, maybe squeeze it in, hug your left knee in. Like I said, top of the shin, back of the thigh. You can use a strap. We'll send that right leg out nice and long, flexing both feet, and if you did it on the right side, you should do it on the left side if you can. Doing a few rotations with that left ankle. One way, and then the other. Flexing and pointing. And then the twist to bring the left leg over the right leg to the ground to the right of us. Send that left arm out and look to the left. Still keeping our feet flexed here. You can do a relaxed flex. Don't feel like you need all your engagement going. We are trying to stretch out and relax a little bit now. Using a little core strength, we'll bring this left knee up. Let's bring the right foot up and then bring the right leg into the chest. Give your legs a nice little hug. Maybe rock side to side a little on your back. Could be a nice back massage. Maybe thank your legs for holding you up if you feel like it. And from here, when you're ready, release the feet to the ground. You could slide them out long. And we'll begin settling in for shavasana. So if you would like to continue your practice with any more poses, now is the time for you to do that. If you want to experiment or play around. But if you'd like to just settle in and have this be your short practice for the day, let your feet flop out to the sides, your hands relax. Close your eyes, take some deep breaths. I'd like to thank you for joining me today in this video. I'm super excited to be doing this. Namaste.